What a great week on Retiring Well. We're so excited you're with us. This week on Retiring Well, we're going to dive into those of you that are able to retire early, pre-65, looking at health insurance specifically. What are all your options and how do you approach that? Then, we're going to change gears a little bit and talk about considerations for women and potentially widowhood and what that looks like from a financial perspective. Then, drawing on the fact of passive income. What is passive income? How do you even get involved with it? And how could it potentially fit in your retirement? And wrapping up the show, we got a little fun topic out there with the craze seemingly sweeping across the nation, pickleball. Is it something that's just a retiree sport? And how could that potentially play into a hobby for you in retirement? Stay with us for all these and so much more here on Retiring Well.
Retiring Well. Brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well. Plan to retire well.
Many people are aware that they become eligible for Medicare health insurance coverage when they turn 65. But what if you retire early, prior to age 65, and you lose your job-based health plan when you do? Well, most people will end up using the health insurance marketplace to buy a plan so that they have coverage until the time that they become eligible to enroll in Medicare. So when you retire before age 65 and you lose health coverage, you will qualify for what's called a special enrollment period. This means you can enroll in a health plan even if it is outside of the normal annual enrollment period. There are some other events that can result in you losing your health coverage before age 65 that can also qualify you for this special enrollment period. For example, if you get divorced or a spouse dies and you lose your health coverage as a result, or if you move and change residencies, you have a 60-day window to qualify for a special enrollment period where you can then sign up for a new plan. One important thing to be aware of with marketplace insurance is the American Rescue Plan and the availability of Affordable Care Act health insurance premium subsidies. One statute of the American Rescue Plan is a temporary removal of what was called the subsidy cliff and the expansion of premium tax credits. The ACA tax credits available in the individual marketplace are based on your household income. But the expansion we saw was significant in that subsidies are available to about 92% of consumers. So only those top earners, top 8%, will fall outside of eligibility for these credits. Recently signed into law was the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. One of its provisions extended these expanded subsidies on the marketplace through 2025, meaning these tax credits are going to remain available at least through 2025. If you are considering retiring early or have questions about health insurance and the marketplace, give us a call. We'd love to talk with you, help you take advantage of these available subsidies, and find the best plan for you.
Ben did a great job there going over marketplace insurance. And you know, that is often a very, very hot topic as couples come into the Gaylord office when we're talking about retirement and what do we do with health insurance. You know, a lot of people nowadays, they're retiring before Medicare age, before that magical age of 65. And the big worry is, what do we do for health insurance? I can't afford to pay $1,000 a month to cover health insurance if I'm retired. And a great example of this is a couple out of Mackinac City. They came down to Gaylord, and that was their biggest worry, is what do we do? And they weren't really familiar with marketplace insurance. They didn't understand how it all worked. They had been on employer insurance for their entire working life. It was great insurance, and they had a lot of questions. So we dove into what actually marketplace insurance does provide for them. Went to healthcare.gov, went over their income for retirement, and they were just dumbfounded to realize that they qualified for a decent subsidy, which allowed them to have a zero premium plan. Now, the deductible was somewhat high for them. It was $7,000 each. So in theory, if something terrible happened to both of them, well, then they might be spending $1,000 a month for that health insurance, right? But for them, that was worth the risk. They were both healthy, and they felt, wow, we could retire, have basically catastrophic insurance with no premium whatsoever. So it's just, don't let the fear of what you're gonna do with health insurance dictate when you're gonna retire.
Absolutely. I love that, Nick. Great way to explain that. You know, I recently had a couple out of beautiful downtown Reed City, and they came up, and the husband was retiring. He was 65, and he was really concerned about Medicare, and then also his spouse, who was 63, who would then have to be losing their family plan. What does that look like, okay? So we were able to first teach about the Medicare options that he had, and then we were able to talk about the health care, the marketplace insurance that she was going to be on for a couple years, and at the end of our meeting, you know, there was peace because they had a healthcare timeline plan, and they felt really good about what they had just learned. So, yeah, coming up next, we're going to be talking about considerations for retirement for women, and then also how to create that passive income. Stay tuned.
Swing with swing shift. Swing shift and the stars.
You made it. Years of hard work, investing, planning, and now you're here. The long-awaited reward you spent a lifetime looking forward to. But what now? After years of growing a nest egg, now you may want to manage it. Use it to fund your dreams. Make it last as long as you need it. And leave some for those you love. So what do? Wall Street continues to be uncertain, and some conservative options have dropped through the floor. How do you maintain opportunities for growth and reduce risk of loss from market changes? That's where we come in. We are financial professionals. From investments and insurance products to tax reduction strategies and guaranteed retirement income you cannot outlive, provided by the claims-paying ability of insurance companies. You've worked a lifetime to get here. Let us help you enjoy it to the fullest. For a complimentary consultation, simply contact us today.
All right, let's talk about you married folks out there and the considerations that women need to be thinking about heading into retirement. And a lot of this is just statistics and thinking about this. So both, you know, if you're married and you're planning for both of you, you know, this is I think is really important stuff. And we talk a lot about this in our initial visits with folks and the plans that we build. But think of this. Right now, women control about $10 trillion of U.S. household financial assets. In the next decade, they're expecting that number to be around $30 trillion. The other interesting thing is that the average age of widowhood for a female is 59 years old. And then do you know that same 59-year-old female is expected to live 27 more years on average? Wow. So as you're planning for your retirement for a couple, I hope that it's lots of years ahead that the two of you can enjoy and do all the things that you've dreamed of. But from a financial perspective, we have to look at the considerations. If one of you, and statistically speaking, men, you're going to go first, is if that happens, what does the financial situation look like? So one, when we look at these considerations, is income. What is that going to look like? Is the income needs going to rise or decrease if a spouse was to pass away? Well, think of it. So you might say, Art, why would it go up? Well, let's say the male passes away and they were mowing the lawn and snow blowing or plowing the driveway, and the female doesn't want to do that or just doesn't have the desire to. Well, you're going to have to hire that stuff out, right? You're going to have to pay a service to do that. So maybe there's some increased costs there, and maybe there's some decreases elsewhere, but have a serious look at what does that budget look like if somebody was to do that. And then where is my income going to come in from, or how is it going to change? Well, one thing, and for most folks, is you're going to lose the lower of the two Social Securities, right? If you have a pension, what is a survivorship benefit? Stuff like that. From a tax situation, a single taxpayer bracket versus a married filing joint bracket are a little bit different. The ranges are different. So by living on the same income, do you bump up a tax bracket maybe? And so those are things that we need to consider. Investments. Think of like if you have a 401k IRA, the likes, and you get to age 72, there's still those required minimum distributions. Even if you're a widow and a surviving spouse, you're just going to have to, now you have both of those IRAs that are now yours to worry about. And then finally, long-term care. With just being a single person, a widow, what are the different considerations you have for long-term care? So all of these things, as you're planning for a married couple, are vitally important. But boy, we better have a plan in place for a surviving spouse situation if one of you was to pass away. Not fun to talk about, but it is, statistically speaking, possible that it could happen. So give us a call at the number on the screen, and we'd love to help you develop that plan so you can be confident if something was to happen to you.
We do what our name implies. We help veterans that are having trouble. It could be with home expenses, could be with problems from health or issues that the VA just can't cover or can't cover quick enough. We pride ourselves in being a 24-hour response team. We have a 10-member board, all volunteers. 95% of the money that we bring in goes to veterans.
It's a great honor for all of us here in the Centennial Wealth Advisory team to be part of this event, because it's a small way we can give back to these veterans that have helped our lives in so many ways in going to battle for us and fight for our freedom. We're so appreciative of that, and then we're so excited to enjoy this day with many veterans out here, and so that this Veterans in Crisis organization can give back to the local Northern Michigan community in so many meaningful ways.
We have very little overhead. We don't have any offices. We just we work from our bootstraps, so to speak. But we do this with support of the community and corporate sponsors, not the least of which is Centennial Wealth, and we've been blessed to have them on board for several years now, and it's just a tremendous partnership that we've been able to have with them. I can't tell you enough how much we appreciate their support and the support of the community.
We're excited to be here at Lock-and-Heath today with for the 5th annual Veterans in Crisis golf outing. Centennial Wealth Advisory has been a proud sponsor for several years now, and we're just grateful for those serving all of Northern Michigan and those in the military and those that have served before us. We're grateful for that and all that Veterans in Crisis does for the community.
I'm one of the founding members of Veterans in Crisis. It is an entirely volunteer organization, but I wanted to get involved in something worthwhile, and I can't think of anything more worthwhile than serving our veterans.
I love hearing the Coast Guard helicopter in the background here. We're out here supporting our veterans. with Veterans in Crisis Memorial Golf Outing. It's a fundraiser to help those that have served before us. And here at Centennial, we love to have that servant heart that so many of those brave soldiers have had before us. They led the way, and we love to follow that.
You know, it seems like with all things in life, they're kind of, you hear about something for a while, then maybe you don't hear about it for a while. Recently, it seems like I've heard the term passive income quite a bit lately. And I think that's because real estate's been fairly popular with rentals and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about a little bit about that because it seems like it's very timely. So one, let's understand what passive income actually is before we start giving examples and talking about it. And basically, it's income that you're not actively involved in doing. So think of like a paycheck or something, right? You're earning a living because you're doing something, whether that's you know, sitting behind a desk or working in a factory or you know, something like that, right? You're earning that because you're physically involved in labor to do that. Passive income is the opposite. You're not involved. So think like you know, if you're a silent investor or something like that, or bought a rental house, you know, that's where I'm not doing anything. Another way to think of it that I've heard of that I like is making your money work for you. So you have financial commitments, but you're not physically doing something to earn that. So some examples of what that is, as I touched on it just a second ago, is like real estate. You know, owning a rental home. There's been some gain in popularity, like in vacation rentals. So whatever type of rental you're doing, whether it's long-term, you know, tenants are in there, you're doing week-by-week vacation rentals, or something else. Even if maybe you have farmland, you could be leasing that farmland or other land for access of that. Boy, I think there's even things out there now I saw where people are like renting their campers out and people are using that. And I the other day come across somebody showed me an app where people are renting their swimming pools now, and you can literally go to somebody's house and rent their swimming pool for the afternoon. So there's different ways of having that passive income through like a rental type situation. The other way is think of like licensing and royalty sort of stuff. That's considered passive income. You created a product or licensed it, and now they have that. Royalties oftentimes, maybe you're fortunate enough to have property that has an oil well or mineral rights or something on it, then you get a royalty off of that. The other thing is consideration of that is like you're investing in a business. Maybe you're one of your children or a friend, or maybe you just were approached with an idea. They needed some financial help to get this business off the ground, and so you invest in and become a silent partner. That would be considered passive income. And the other way commonly is if you have after-tax money, non-IRA 401k money, and you buy dividend-paying stocks, those dividends that kick off of that non-qualified money, that would be deemed as a passive income as well. So people like having this passive income because, again, you don't really have to do something to have it. So like in retirement, passive income can be a nice thing to have because you want to have that cash flow coming in to meet your budgetary needs in retirement, right? So if it's something you're interested in or want to talk more about how it could fit and what the consequences and advantages may be to you, give us a call at the number on the screen. We'd love to sit down and see how that may fit into your retirement plan.
So if it's all right and I can go in a little bit tongue-in-cheek, you know, one of the first introductions to life insurance was when my wife and I went to look for the cost of it. And, you know, we're almost the same age, and hers was so much cheaper than mine. And as I dug into the why, it was because statistically they do less dumb things, and also statistically they live longer. And so, you know, on a serious note though, when you are in that situation where you might be a husband, wife, and so many times I see them come into our office here at Centennial Wealth, and they will say, I'll look at the wife like, how are your finances going? How are your plans going? And she'll just say, well, my spouse does all of that stuff. You know, I don't have to worry about it, they do. And so, you know, that's one of the advantages of working with a financial advisor, is that as you understand and create their plan, now if some devastating loss happens, if that spouse dies, you know, and you have to figure out what to do now, you have somebody to talk to. You have somebody to kind of carry that plan, to teach. I know personally, in my own situation, you know, Nick, John, Art, I mean, those are the guys that are going to step up in my life if I were to pass away. My wife is going to be in great hands because they have our plan, and they're going to continue that, and they're going to teach it, and they do a great job. So.
Oh, thank you for that, Jack.
Yeah.
Another topic that was discussed there was passive income and how to generate that. And I got a unique story here with a recent couple out of the Sheboygan area who just sold their business, but the way that it was set up, it was done for passive income. So they sold the business over an installment plan. And, you know, passive income, I like to call it mailbox money. You know, it's money that, hey, it's coming like clockwork each and every month, right in your mailbox. You don't have to do much to get that, right? And for this couple, it made the most sense for them to not just have the buyer buy them out in one lump sum, but to pay it over that monthly installment, because they were getting a guaranteed interest rate on that. So they got a guaranteed 5.5% on their money, which you can't get that in the market anywhere. So for them, it made the most sense to do that passive income stream to sell their business on installments. So hopefully you found this information valuable. Two great topics there, but stay tuned. Coming up next, we're gonna be talking about pickleball and what is it?
Living life isn't always easy. It puts up challenges and obstacles you'll have to overcome. There are responsibilities. You put in effort to provide and take care of your family, to save and invest, to balance work and life. Planning is the first step to succeeding. Plan to retire well. If you like watching Retiring Well, make sure to go to youtube.com/retiringwell and click the subscribe button to never miss any of our TV shows and other informative videos.
At Centennial Wealth Advisory, we take a holistic approach to your retirement planning. So it's not just looking at what your investments are, but what is that long-term income plan for the next 30, 40 years of your retirement? What about taxes and what role they play in your retirement plan? Estate planning, what about life insurance, health insurance planning, all key areas to consider when looking at your retirement. So please visit our website or call the number on the screen. We'd love the opportunity to sit down with you for a no-cost, no-obligation visit. So what is pickleball? Pickleball has been named the fastest growing sport for 2 years in a row now by Sports and Fitness Industry Association. So I look at it as a combination of tennis, badminton, and ping pong, if you can imagine all that in one. And it ultimately can be played both indoors and outdoors, and it's on what's probably a badminton-sized court and slightly modified tennis net. So you ultimately have, as I'll show you here, you've got your paddle and you've got your ball, this plastic ball that has several holes in it. So you can hit it pretty hard. It's still gonna fly pretty well, but it ultimately isn't gonna hurt anybody too bad if you end up hitting somebody. So you can play either doubles or singles. And what I enjoy is that all ages and skill levels can play this sport. And with a recent conversation with someone, they were bragging to me how they are actually one of the state champions in the state of Florida for pickleball. Now, he then shared how he's in the 80-plus age bracket, and there's not as many competitors in that field, but it is one that obviously that's great because all different ages can play. I know recently was out with my children playing who are 8, 11, and 12 and had a great time with it. So it started in 1965 near Seattle, and apparently it was 3 dads that had some bored children in the summertime, and so they were looking for an activity, and so that's how they came up with pickleball. And I guess some of the rules may have changed a little bit over time, but that's what brings us to today. And now we're seeing it spreading quickly throughout the world. You're seeing it in Europe and Asia, and these pickleball courts going up everywhere, and same may be true in your neighborhood. So with the actual court, you sort of picture this shrunk down tennis court. You don't have the doubles lines or anything on the outside. And then you have this sort of unique, about 7 feet away from the net is what they call the non-volley zone or the kitchen. And I don't know enough about it yet. I just know I'm supposed to stay out of the kitchen. And so you stay back a little bit from the net, so you're not quite up as close as you are maybe in a normal tennis game. And so something that was fun just here this summer, we started with our office coming up with creative, fun things to go out and do and stay active. And so we went and got some pickleball paddles here at Dunham's here in Traverse City, got the balls and went out and played. And so there was probably, with everybody playing, there's an age difference between the youngest and the oldest, but we all competed and had a great time with it. So if you're looking for opportunities to play, you can go to places with the number 2 play.org, and you can find a court near you. Go out and have some fun.
What a fun segment there on pickleball. I mean, when I think of pickleball, I think of it's almost like a cross between table tennis and then actual tennis. And growing up, I played a lot of ping pong, or table tennis as they say, and I got pretty decent at it. So when I was first introduced to pickleball, I absolutely loved it. And from a retirement perspective though, you think about it, what's your wealth without your health in retirement? And what better way to stay active and try to stay healthy than getting out on the pickleball court and playing and enjoying that time with your friends and family?
Yeah, Nick, I'm going to be transparent, have a little confession here. When I saw pickleball, I didn't know what all the hype was about. And in fact, I thought this is like way overblown because so many people just can't stop talking about how great it is. And we have this thing called the Centennial Wealth Health Club. And that's actually the first time I ever played. So we went and played some pickleball. And the moment that I started playing, I thought, oh my goodness, I was so wrong. That was so fun. And I had a great time. I'm going to be bringing it back to my kids and my family. It's like the fastest and the slowest sport all at the same time. And so it was super enjoyable. But we love to be able to try to give you ideas to plan to retire well. And as Nick said, it's not just your wealth, it's also your health. And so if you have questions about your plan, feel free to give us a call. We really appreciate that you watch our show. We appreciate the support that you give us, the time that you sit there to continue your learning. And so if you want to spread the word, or if you want to go on to youtube.com/retiring well, you can find a plethora of different shows that we've done. So I wish you luck if you do play your pickleball, and you have a great week. Tune in next week, same time, same channel.